Hello again, my name is Rodney Reynolds and welcome to another video review. Today I will be looking at the Lian PC-9300 aluminum desktop case. Along with the case, what is included in this package are a whole bunch of aluminum bezels. Now these actually go mounted onto your drives, whether it be your floppy drive like so. It just blends in the drive with the case to give it a more appealing look, or maybe it's a CD-ROM drive, something like this. Again, it helps blend in your drives right into the case. Also included is a 3.5-inch drive mounting kit, and how this works is there's a front panel here which clips onto that mount. Then they've included as well a power aux connector to a floppy drive. Now, you don't necessarily have to have a floppy in this. You could maybe have a zip drive or anything that has a 3.5-inch footprint. Also included are some tie downs and screws. At the front of the case you have two 5.25-inch drive bays, and there's actually two internal 3.5 inches on top of these two inside the case. I'll show you that when I take the cover off the case. Now remember as well with this, you can use that mounting kit to actually put a 3.5-inch drive in one of these two 5.25-inch bays if you wish. At the bottom left-hand corner you have two USB 2 ports, and at the right you have your hard drive LED, as well as your power LED, as well as a reset switch and the power switch. At the back of the case, at the very left, is where you install a small power supply. This is very important. You need to have a special power supply with this case. You cannot use a regular size ATX power supply. They have included an I/O shield plate, which is right here, and also a switch. That switch has three settings, a high, medium, or low, and that switch controls these two fans, which port all the hot air from inside the case out the back of the case. Also right here is possibly where your video cards, your sound cards, your NIC cards, and so on and so forth would be installed once you have the motherboard mounted inside the case. Also, you'll notice on the back of the case there are two thumb screws. There's one right here and one right here. That makes it very convenient to remove the case cover. Removing this case cover is extremely easy to do if you know how to do it. First of all, remove those two thumb screws which hold the case cover on at the back. And once you've done that, you need to push the case forward like so. Bring it off a little ways, and once you have it off a little ways, just go ahead, pry the bottoms out. You can see I'm bending it at the bottom. Then go ahead and just remove it. And once the cover is removed, you can see that there isn't much space in here to mount a motherboard. Not only does this case take a small power supply, it also takes a micro ATX motherboard. That's very important to note. You cannot install a regular power supply or a regular motherboard inside this case due to the size limitations. Now, as I mentioned earlier, there are two hidden 3.5-inch bays, and right here are those. This gets removed via 4 thumb screws very simply. Mount what you need to mount on here and put it back. Right here are the wires for the USB 2 ports. These, of course, go plugged into your motherboard. And also all of these feeds right here go plugged into your motherboard. These are the speaker, the hard drive LED, the power LED, the reset switch, and the power switch. At the back of the case, as I mentioned earlier, there are two fans. These fans exhaust air out of the case. They're plugged into this switch, which again has a high, medium, or low setting. But also there is something else plugged into this switch. And that wire goes from the back to the front of the case to reveal a long blue light here at the front. And once the blue light is connected up, you can see it looks very cool, whether it's in the daylight or the darkness. These fans are very quiet. Actually, right now they're on high speed, medium, and low. For a desktop case in a small form factor, you really can't beat this. However, again, you're going to be really limited. You've only got two 5.25-inch bays at the front. You need a micro power supply. You need a micro motherboard. And also you've got those two small fans at the back. But overall, standard Lian quality on this case, and it is certainly a great product. Again, my name is Rodney Reynolds, and this has been another video review. Be sure to check back very soon. I will have a brand new one for you then. Also, be sure to pop into my website at www.3dgameman.com. And while you're there, you can go and register. If you haven't already registered, registration is completely free. Until the next time, take care.